It says we are live.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody. Looks like we got Buff, Richard, Quality Control. Irish says he's still trucking, but he'll be listening.
I'll move my camera a little closer so I can reach it without leaning forward.
I found the perfect table, and it's actually a welding bench. If I had more room, I'd be taking it back to Alabama. My dad wouldn't want that, but I would want to take it. I want to take it home. It's the simplest, easiest welding table ever. It's just a piece of 3/8 plate with 4 pipe legs on it.
That's about what mine is.
It's small though. Yours is nice. This is nice, but it's like maybe 30 inches by 36 inches, so it's pretty small.
Yeah. Yeah, I've thought about like cutting mine down or cutting it in half and making 2 separate tables where I can put them together, but I don't know.
Amber says we have absolutely no room.
Yeah.
Jeffrey's here. We got 2 X here, so we got 2 Jeffs.
2 Jeffs.
We got Jeff, who is Jeffrey to me, and 2 Hacks, who is Jeff as well.
Jeff Rowe.
Oh, so how was your Christmas?
It was good. Kind of low key, which is the way I like it. We still got a couple of kids and grandkids to filter in whenever they get a chance, but we just kind of hang out, and whenever the kids and grandkids get a chance to come out to see us, and we'll just hang out with them. It's a little less stressful that way. But awesome. I got some cool stuff, which, now that my kids are getting older, they're getting dad some pretty cool presents, which is different. I don't expect any of that, and so I don't have any with me right here to show you because I'm in the house. We flipped deals here because usually Travis is trying to stay warm in the house, and now he's in the shop, and I'm like, I went out to the shop for a little bit, so I'm not even worried about putting heat out here. I'm just gonna go to the house, set up in the back room, and
I really wanted to be in the shop for the last week, but I was out here and I realized 10 minutes before we were going to go live that I didn't have any kerosene or diesel for the heater, and it was like 10 degrees last week, and it was 60 here today.
Yeah.
So I haven't even had the heater on today. I might have to turn on a little bit later, but right now it's nice in here.
Yeah, we only got to the low 40s today, and it's still snow and stuff on the ground, so it didn't really warm up that much. I've been kind of in a hibernation mode. Just don't even want to go outside.
I hear you. I've been doing a little bit. So we're leaving in the morning to head back, and I put it off until today to get. I'm taking a trailer with me behind the Magnum, just a little 2-axle box trailer, and I put off until this morning to try to put lights on it, and I was really regretting it this morning because it was nothing but problems. But it does have lights, and it's loaded pretty well. I think it's going to be all right. My biggest worry right now is it doesn't have enough tongue weight, and it's going to whip a lot, but I didn't want to put a lot of weight on the back of that Magnum. So,
yeah.
Amber got herself a 4-wheeler.
Oh. Yeah. You'll know pretty quick if it needs any more tongue weight.
What's that?
You'll know pretty quick if it needs any more tongue weight.
Yeah, I've got an empty 55-gallon drum in there, so worst case scenario, I'll just stop and throw that on the tongue and put a little weight in it.
Yeah.
So, well, I suppose we got 12 in here. You wanna start with our topic for this week is, and I'll kind of lay out the ground rules because it was kind of last minute. I know I said I was going to call and talk about it, and it's just been a whirlwind week. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So Ryan actually came up with this last week, and it's a unlimited budget project. And so we're going to kind of say, like, because it's hard to say if you had an unlimited budget, you would do a lot of things. But we're going to say You have found yourself a rich benefactor who said, I will sponsor one project. You can have whatever you want and run with it.
Okay, so yeah, we didn't really discuss what the project could be. So I've been thinking of a project vehicle, and of course, anybody that knows me knows that I've had my crew cab for almost 20 years now, and that's like my number one favorite truck, favorite vehicle, and I've always had big dreams for it. So I thought if I had an unlimited budget, I would make that truck what I've always wanted it to be. So, yeah, I didn't like make a list, but I'm thinking, well, first I thought, well, I could go, do a Duramax swap because, money's no issue, but I'm a gasser guy. I love big block gas engines. So I would go with, as far as underneath the hood, it would have at least a 600 plus cubic inch big block. My first thought, well, I just go buy a 632, one of the new crate engines. I like building my own stuff. So I would, I want to build, big cubic inch, big block. And then I don't know if I'd go turbos or supercharger, but it'd be boosted. Or, we're talking, it'd be, all the horsepower and all the torques that you'd ever need. Of course, I'd go with, chrome molly axles, beef up the whole drivetrain. And then it got to, my idea got to the transmission, what I want to say, manual or automatic. And I really thought about going with, if money was no issue, just go with some sort of one of the modern transmissions. I don't know, and I don't even really know what GM's got right now, but I'm, a 6-speed or something. And if I say that and they're junk, I don't know. I'm just thinking, some sort of modern automatic that can handle that kind of power.
Yeah.
And, a really nice flatbed for it. And then again, I thought about just going with the regular box bed because I wouldn't be using it for work that much. I would use it to tow with or pull with. But the interior would be full leather. I'd probably stick with the bench seat, or I might do a split. I don't know. Yeah. Well, I mean, it probably wouldn't get any worse fuel mileage if it's boosted than what the NA big block does right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd say it probably still get at least 10 miles a gallon unloaded. Because
I would think.
You'd have monstrous amount of torque. I don't know. I mean, it's just, I don't know.
So would you paint it? Would it be fully painted and pretty, or would it stay kind of patina?
Oh no, I would paint it because I've always, as much as I love that truck, I've always hated the color. Always hated it. Still hate it. I hate that teal green.
Okay.
I like the cream color, the beige, which was the factory color, but it's got a pearl clear coat over it that you can't really see unless you look close. But yeah. But the thing is, I don't know. I've had so many different ideas what color I want to paint that truck over the years that
I see that being a problem with a project that you've had for that long. There's so many, you've built it so many times in your head that you'd have to finally settle on one build and build it.
Yeah, and that's the hard thing is, settling on what I really want it to end up being, and that's the hardest thing for me right now. It's just like the color.
Yeah.
That's hard for me to figure out because the way it is right now, it is what it is. I didn't have a choice. That's the color it was when I got it. So it's like one part of me, being nostalgic like I am, would want to put the truck back to the way it was,
Yeah.
Because that's the way that truck's always been. My kids grew up in that truck. So it's like, if I changed it so much, would it be the same truck? But I've had it so long, and it's like it almost deserves to be what my dream of it was. And for a long time it was like a black and red paint scheme, or black and gray, which black and gray, black and silver is kind of my favorite color scheme. So I don't know. That the color part of it would be tough to decide on.
Yeah.
But yeah, it would be. I mean, it would be totally done. I mean, frame off, no money, no. If we had unlimited funds, it would be frame off. Yeah, it'd be nice.
Would it be huge and lifted like Richard said? Richard said huge lifted crew cab sounds sexy.
No, it would not. It wouldn't be any taller than what it is right now, because it used to be taller, but I got tired of jumping in and out, because I'm only 5'8", so I've never built any running boards or steps for it, so it gets harder and harder to get in and out of. I wouldn't go very, very tall. I might go since I'd have unlimited funds to be able to beef up the drivetrain, I might go back with the bigger tires, like I had on it.
Funds, you could have a set of those electric steps that drop down when you open the door.
Yeah, or a ramp or something.
Yeah, Richard said the climb does get old. I remember he had a crew cab Chevy like that with, I think, at a big block, and I might be mistaken, but I want to say it was on 44s, and it was ridiculous to try to get into that truck. It was huge.
Yeah, I mean Richard's
cool,
what, a foot. Richard's about a foot taller than I am, so
I think he's like 6'3", 6'4". So yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm about the same height or a little shorter than you, and I had a hard time getting in and out of that truck. It was ridiculous.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't want to go very, very tall with it, because I want to keep it usable. But it'd be like, see, for years that was my only truck. I mean, it was my only it was my hot rod, it was my play toy, it was my work truck, it was my everything. So
yeah,
I still want to have that dream. I still have that dream of making it, if I want to take it to the drag strip and play around and show off, just do that, or hook up to a trailer, be able to tow a trailer, or do a little bit of everything with it.
Yeah. It sounds like it would be a cool project. And
yeah,
so it had 15 inches of lift, 46-inch tires with a 454 and turbo 400.
Yeah.
It was huge.
Wow.
It was cool, but it was big.
Yeah.
So for my project, I'm going to throw a wrench in things, because I'm sure that when Ryan suggested this, he was thinking of car project, but I was thinking about it, and my car projects, unlimited funds would be nice, but the problem you get into when you have unlimited funds is you take a lot of the work and you take it out of it like somebody else. But like you were talking about, you buy the crate motor and you buy the built transmission and you buy this and you buy that, and I don't want to just buy everything. So if I had my project would be my shop. I would get everything that I've ever wanted for my shop. I would have CNC plasma table. I'd have a lathe and a nice milling machine, power fed milling machine and all that stuff. And then my biggest dream right now, and it probably because of where I'm at in my garage build, is storage. Like I don't have anywhere to put anything. I would want a specific place to put everything in my garage so that I could, if I needed something, I could go find it, because it would be where it goes and it's not in this pile or in that pile or hiding under this stuff with all the other stuff stacked on top of it. And what's that?
And this much stuff piled in 10 boxes, and then you dump it into the floor to find that one part or those bolts, whatever it was.
And that could be amplified because I'm at my dad's house right now, and this garage is pretty good sized. I want to say it's probably 36 wide, and I'm guessing probably 50 long, and it has the amount of stuff in it that should be in a building five times that size. There is
Yeah.
stuff stacked you can never find anything. And it's all
Yeah.
here. We have everything you could ever want, but you just can't find any of it.
Yeah.
So that could be jading my opinion. But I also had an answer for a vehicle project.
Okay. Yeah. I was going to ask, okay, so your dream shop, but if it was just a vehicle project, what would you go with?
So, and I'm actually trying to work a deal to get one right now, but it would be a first gen Ram, which is like my red truck.
Yeah.
Crew cab, short bed, dually, 4-wheel drive. And they never made it. Like, it's not something that was ever made. I'm going to have to build it all myself. But I think I have a line on the beginning of that project. It's a 83 or an 84 crew cab short bed that I used to own, and I'm trying to get it back. And then I want to dually swap it and take an actual dually bed and cut the fenders into the short bed and put a dually short bed on it. And then 4-wheel drive, not huge lifted. In fact, I'm thinking probably stock tire size, just the 235/85 16s that come on them from the factory, but lockers and all that fun stuff. And then a P-pump 12-valve Cummins with a 6-speed manual transmission. That's like my ultimate truck. That's what I want to build. And same as you, it'd be actually painted, not just whatever color it was when I found it. All the body work done and pretty and fancy interior, and then I want to build the motor, completely go through it, like start from a bare block with machine work and build a Cummins motor. I've never built one. Everything I've ever had is something with 200,000 miles on it. I start bolting parts on it.
Yeah. And hope it makes it to holds together.
Well, I mean, with the Cummins, they're pretty safe. They don't 200,000 miles is barely getting them broke in.
Oh yeah.
The truck is usually wore out by the time they get that many miles on them, which is the case with all of my trucks.
Yeah. So you're talking like compound turbos, or
I don't know.
How far would you go with that inline six?
So I go back and forth. So it would definitely be a hot rod, but I'd still want it to be my tow vehicle. So to be honest, I just don't know enough about what all that does. Like, of course, it'd be nice to have 1,500 horsepower, but I don't know if you can still tow a trailer with that kind. Like right now, my white truck is pretty turned up, and it's not a P pump. It's a VE pump, which is the one that has not nearly as much power potential. But I would want to go as far as I could go and still have a reliable tow vehicle that still gets some kind of fuel mileage while I'm towing.
Yeah. I've known a few guys with some of those, basically about what you're talking about, and making over 1,000 horsepower on a chassis dyno.
Yeah.
And they'll pull a 32-foot trailer loaded. It's just it is hard on stuff. You can't you can't just horse it around. You got to be very careful.
Same time.
Yeah, because you could bend. Well, a couple of guys, they had a gooseneck, and they'll actually stretch the neck trying to take off, and it'll just stretch the neck out on the trailer.
I didn't.
Yeah,
I've never heard of that, but that's crazy.
Yeah. And my truck, my Duramax, it's not making that kind of horsepower. It's roughly 550 or so. But even with that, probably close to 1,000 pound-foot of torque. But even at that power level, when it's turned up, and I just leave it turned up, you've got to manage it when you're towing a trailer. You can't just drive it. I mean, you got to. Yeah. Well, you've got to drive it. You can't just go. you've got to think about what you're doing because it doesn't know any better. And the more you put behind it, the more it wants. It's weird. So if I'm going to be towing a lot,
that's like my white truck. It's kind of the same way, and I don't know. I think when we were building the motor and kind of I was looking at similar builds, it's probably in the 350 to 400 horse range, which when you start talking torque is probably pull it up in the 850, maybe 900 range.
Yeah.
And that thing empty, just the truck, if you put a good hill in front of it and you stand on it all the way to the top, I get scared. I'm kind of a sissy. When I see 1,300 degrees on the pyro, I let off. They say you can run them a lot further than that, but I know on my semi that was too hot, and it's on the hot side on the Cummins, not on the cold side like it was on the semi. But so 1,300 degrees is my limit. If I see 1,300, I let off, and then the water temp goes crazy, and the transmission gets hot, and all that stuff. But like you said, you got to drive it. You can't just. Fortunately, you can't on that one just set the cruise because something's wrong with the cruise control, so it won't actually achieve full throttle. So it's kind of like its own limiting thing. It won't burn the truck down. You can set the cruise and it won't ever get into the power like that.
Yeah, if I'm pulling a trailer like when we went to Sykeston, as long as it's nice and flat, I'll set the cruise when I'm pulling the trailer. But if it gets to rolling hills and stuff, I can't set the cruise because it's it can't really anticipate getting ready to pull a hill like I can. So it just, it'll lug it down a little bit and then downshift. And when it downshifts, it's already starting to spool up. And it's like, it gets pretty violent. So when it comes to hilly stuff, I don't run the cruise because it's just too much for a lot of times. I'll just
run the cruise in the hills either. I could, but I don't. You're smarter than the cruise control. Like you said, you can see the hill coming, so you can slowly achieve that boost and keep your speed up, and instead of letting it just full throttle downshift, kick down, tear the drive shaft out, all that fun stuff.
And if it's really a lot of hills, I'll just go ahead and, because it's a 6-speed Allison, I'll go ahead and put it on the manual side and go ahead and click it into 5th. To where it won't shift up because 5th and 6th are both overdrive.
Okay.
So, if it's getting if it's starting to shift quite a bit every hill I pull, I'll just go ahead and put it in 5th and leave it in 5th. And but that much horsepower, you got to be able to manage it somehow. You could do it. You can, like I said, I've known some guys with your dream build you was talking about. Over 1,000 horsepower with the diesel. It's doable to still use it, but it's a little more to manage.
Yeah. Richard says the Dodge runs real good. So of course, right after my dad finished building that for himself and put brand new tires on it, Richard and I had to go out and drive it, and it does good burnouts.
Sorry, Dad.
You have to be careful because if you put it in drive and then stand on it and spool it up, something happens when you let off the throttle. Something's moving, and it's not a motor mount. I've checked that, but something is twisting and it knocks itself into neutral.
Oh.
The first time I did that, I thought, great, I just blew up this truck. The motor wasn't hurt, but I figured I don't know. I don't know what I thought I broke. Drivetrain, rear end, something. Because it was spooled up. I let off the throttle, started to spin the tires, and then it kicked itself into neutral and just freewheeled. So
yeah.
But
yeah, that's not fun.
Let's see if anybody in the chat over here has any of their dream builds. If they had unlimited funds, what would they build? I know Richard, talking to him about this either today or yesterday, and he says if he had unlimited funds for one project, he would go No Prep Kings racing.
Yeah.
Have you watched that show at all?
I don't believe so.
So have you seen Street Outlaws?
Oh yeah. I mean,
It's kind
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, but
I think that would be fun, but I mean, I guess if money is no object, yeah, I have a hard time wrapping my head around spending that much money to go race like that, even if it wasn't mine. I don't know.
yeah. And for me that that level of competition is not fun.
No.
Uh, regardless of the money, that level of competition is not fun for me. Uh, I mean, I'm not a real competitive guy. I have a little bit of a competitive streak in me, but when it gets too competitive, it's like it's no fun.
I can feel you there. I'm a lot the same way. I'm competitive, but when it gets to where you're so competitive or you have to be competitive, the having to win takes the fun out of it for
Yeah,
me. Like I
yeah,
enjoy the build, and like when we were silk track racing, my favorite part was taking the worst junk and going out there and doing pretty well with it. I didn't care if I won. If I could go
yeah,
out there and run in the middle of the pack with less money than the guy that's in the very back, then I
yeah,
felt good. That was my win.
yeah, yeah. It's and like when I went into business for myself, had my own little shop going and stuff. As much as I loved doing mechanic work, once it started being a job, and I mean, that's competition. You've got to make it happen.
Yeah.
It lost all the fun for me. I didn't like turning wrenches because I had to make a certain amount. I had to do this, had to do that. It's like this is not fun anymore.
Yeah.
So the competitive side of it, I wouldn't. If I had unlimited funds, I wouldn't build a competition type vehicle. I just want a fun vehicle.
I steered away from that too because I don't have any desire to try to, like, even with like the red truck. I don't if I can race it in something where it kind of fits in and I can do okay, I'm fine with that. But to purpose build it to try to win at something, that's not for me.
No,
That's not I don't
no.
know. I thought I was
That's,
weird, but sounds like you're a lot the same way.
yeah, I'm the same way because I've said it in a lot of my videos when I go to the drag strip. I just go for tests and tunes right now because I'm not competitive enough. I don't know what I'm doing enough yet to actually put it in some sort of a class.
Yeah.
So I just kind of do my own thing. I just race myself. Now, if there's someone else there that we run and have some fun, that's fine. Win or lose, I really don't care. But I just want to be better than I was with the junk I'm putting together. And that was the fun thing about what I was really looking forward to, the No Name Nationals, is going up against you because our trucks were fairly matched, and I was hoping to have at least a day of just, if it was just me and you, I didn't care.
Yeah.
Just going out there and having fun. We'll get to do that one of these days, I'm sure. But
Hopefully.
maybe. But now, going back to my project vehicle, my crew cab, I've always loved having that truck. Back in the day, I say back in its prime, and that was when I had a small block in it. In 456 gears, you pull up this stoplight and you take off of that thing and kick it sideways next to somebody that's got a hot rod, a car, a real hot rod.
Yeah.
And you take off and smoke them off the line, and you're sideways. It's just nobody expects that out of a huge crew cab, 4-wheel drive, and that's what I love about that. It's different. Oh, I forgot to mention, it would have the stacks back on
it. Would you put
I
rain
still
caps on it?
No, they would be either turnouts or slash cut. The ones I had on them were actually side pipes off of a vet that I cut. I gutted them,
Oh, okay.
And because they've already got the mounting tabs and they fit perfect, they were just the right height. The only problem is my shop right now is the doors are so short. My headache rack just barely clears going into the shop. So that's one of the reasons why I don't have stacks on it right now, is because I'd have to make them almost removable to get it in the shop.
So to our question to everybody in the chat, First Responder Garage says, if you had unlimited funds, an 8V92 twin turbo Detroit in a Dakota with zoomies out the fender.
Holy cow.
That would be wild.
That would be.
So I've never been around an 8V92, but we had an 8V71 with a supercharger. I don't believe it was turboed. It was just supercharged in a Michigan loader. And the sound, I can't even imagine what that would sound like through zoomies going out the fender. The sound of that would scare people.
Yeah. Yeah, if it's of course, I'm not real up to date or know all my bigger diesels, but if that's the one I'm thinking of, they have they have their own sound. I think I remember seeing some videos of guys, and they got like a twin stick transmission where they're crazy.
It's called, now I'm drawing a blank on what it is. Basically, it's two gearboxes, and you've got a front and a rear gearbox that you have to shift, and it's a different combination in each one to get all your gears. And that's an art form. Shifting one of those I've never driven one or even been around one, but it's an art form to drive one of those things. Yeah. So I don't know if it's I think it's the 8V71, but it might be the 92 that they run in a lot of the tanks, that it's got that screaming sound. It just sounds like it's revved up all the time. I can't even imagine what it would sound like through zoomies. That might be something to try someday. A Dakota, that's a pretty small truck to put that big of an engine in. That would be a pretty wild ride, I think.
Yeah, it'd be wrapped around that thing pretty tight. It'd be kind of like on Motor Trend, David Freiberger, they built the Hemi Grimmy. I don't know if you've seen that, but it's a 70-something AMC Gremlin with a Hemi in it, and they got it on a like a 32 Ford kit car chassis. They set the body, because it's a unibody car, so they set it on this chassis, so it sets way up off the ground, and it's got that old school kind of a gasser look to it. It's got straight axle, but the Hemi, the valve covers, it's so big, the valve covers actually stick out of the hood.
Oh, wow. I haven't seen it done. I've heard about the project, but I haven't seen it done.
It's awesome, because he got the inspiration, I think, from the old school the guy that does all the drawings, the Rat Fink and all that stuff.
Okay.
But some of those drawings, just the wild, crazy street freak type cars, and that's what it is. It's a street freak, because they could drive it. It does go down the highway, but they said it's squirrely, because it's almost like driving a Jeep that doesn't have any, that hasn't been aligned yet. It's just all over the road, and they got like 800 horsepower. It's just crazy, but
so First Responder said twin and 3 sticks. They called it the Buzzin' Dozen. So yeah, I know. I'm pretty sure they made those all the way up to I don't know if it's the 92 or the 71. If I'm not mistaken, this 92 and the 71 is the cubic inches per cylinder. And then the 8V is obviously a V8, but I think they made a 12V71. And
oh, wow.
Also, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure that's where the blowers that they use on V8s, that's where they originated, was on those Detroit engines. And then like an 871 blower is off a 8V71 Detroit. And then I don't think they went all the way up to 14 and whatever 18 or 19, whatever they have now, but that's all, purpose built stuff. But so yeah, that's 12 V71 in something, that'd be crazy. And then Richard, the 29th Street's the junkyard that's right behind his shop. And apparently their loader has one of those Detroit 2-strokes in it. We used to have the rock crusher that we had a 4V set of it wasn't a V, it was a 471 Detroit. It's a little 4-cylinder with a little tiny blower on the side of it.
Yeah.
Richard says they were blown with turbos. So when I was in the Air Force, the Ukes that pulled the airplanes, they had 8 V71s that had a turbo that fed the supercharger. So almost like a twin setup, but one of them was a supercharger, one of them or a blower, one of them was a turbo. That loader and the little screen plant we had, neither one of those had a turbo. They were just the supercharger, but that thing made insane power. I mean, that loader was huge.
So I mean, I guess, since we're dreaming, if I was to build, I've always had a dream of building a rat rod square body, which Squeaky's kind of turned into, kind of got a rat rod vibe to him. But I've got an old crew cab frame out here, 2-wheel drive. I've thought about chopping the top, not having a top for it, just have the windshield frame, chopping the top off, putting like big tractor tires. I mean, they're, huge tires on the back. I'm sure most everybody's seen on the internet, there's a picture of a square body truck. It's red. There's a cab and front end, but it's got huge tractor tires on the back. And I think it's got snow plow on the front. But I've seen several builds like that, and I've always wanted to build just a pure rat roddy square body that's really slammed to the ground and just nasty looking. And have a big, of course, it'd have to have a big blower hanging out of the hood too. I mean, just something, or mid-engine.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there you go.
And
put a blower in the back seat.
Yeah, have the blower, sticking up above the cab. And yeah, if I had unlimited funds just to build projects, it'd be crazy.
So First Responder Garage says it actually only revs to 2,200, which is what I was thinking. They sound like they're turning 1,000,000 RPMs because they're 2-stroke.
Yeah.
We had one of those in the shop when I was young, and my dad was rebuilding it, and it was crazy. The way that engine works, and I don't remember all of it because it was years ago, but it had like it has holes in the side of the cylinder like a 2-stroke, and it was cool looking. Like I said, I don't remember all of it, but common rail, turbos, injection, and loud. It was 1938 when they came out.
Yeah, that's crazy. The technology back in the 100 years ago.
Yeah, and then he said the turbo, when it's pulled up, unloaded the supercharger and freed up the horsepower used to. Oh, so the supercharger was for low end torque and the turbo was for high end horsepower. It sounds like from what he's saying there.
Yeah.
That would, I mean, what better way to spin up a turbo than use a supercharger?
Yeah. That's crazy.
Richard says, how about a cab over Duramax car hauler? I can't talk. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, one of the old school cab overs.
Like the bull nose or whatever.
Yeah.
A pug nose, what do they call them? Like a pug nose or something? That'd be kind of neat. So I couldn't use it for my one project, but I would like to build like the one we were talking about, the car hauler, crew cab, Cummins with an actual ramp bed on the back of it. That would be cool.
Yeah, and that might be, that was another project that came to mind because that's really useful. But still, it wouldn't be, I might go 4-wheel drive, but I might do like a IFS front end in it.
Yeah.
And then that way you still have 4-wheel drive if you needed it, but not have it jacked way up. Have a nice low stance to it.
The new 3/4 tons or 1 tons have IFS? Have they done that yet? Or is it only the half tons that have the IFS?
On Chevrolets?
Yeah, or any of them. I haven't been around any brand new Dodges that are half ton or 3/4 ton or 1 ton.
Yeah, the Rams. I'm not sure about the 1 tons now, but I know ours is IFS. GM's been IFS full drive since '88.
But just in the half tons, what about the? Because if you're gonna put
No,
a car, oh really?
yeah,
Even the 3/4 tons and the 1 ton?
yeah, since '88. Well, of course, '88 to '91, you could get a square body, 1 ton, and it was a straight axle. But the newer body style, or OBS they call it now, but all of those were IFS 3/4 and 1 tons since then. My Duramax 2012 is IFS. It's got torsion bars.
Huh. I don't think Dodge has IFS on the. I don't know. I know in that second gen, like the 94 to 2001, the 3/4 tons, at least my dad's 3/4 ton, it was an 01, was a still straight axle in the front.
Yeah. See, my son's the newest one I can remember for sure was like a 2012 1 ton Dodge, and it was a straight axle still yet. I don't know on the Dodge or Rams if the heavy duties are still straight axle, if they're IFS. Because I think
if it's your dream build, I think I might be able to use the Chevy front end on my dream build of a Dodge. I don't know if I could do that or not. I don't know. Maybe not.
Yeah.
I might not be able to do it. Maybe.
But then
IFS would be nice, but
yeah. Of course, they go into, you got to change the gears on me about if it was a project. If I had a dream shop, it would pretty much be about the same as what you're saying. Have room for everything, enough storage for everything. But I would have to have. I've always wanted my own machine shop, and to build engines and a dyno, and also want a paint booth. I would have it set up to do everything, top to bottom, everything.
Yeah.
Paint, body, engine building, flow bench.
On my current garage, I have plans to have a machine room, and I don't know if I'll. I don't know if I'll go all the way. Like I doubt if I'll end up being able to machine engines in there, but I want to be able to machine parts. Like I really want to have a decent lathe that I can cut threads on, that I can use for it's so nice. There's so many times when I'm trying to make something and I'm on a bandsaw with the file trying to get it flat. If I just had a lathe, it would take half as much time.
Yeah.
And then
even it's like that little cheap Chinese lathe that I got. Man, that thing comes in so handy. And sometimes I forget about it. I'm chucking stuff in the drill still yet, and I'm like, wait, why am I doing this? I've got a lathe. I can actually make this a precision, deal, and instead of using a drill like I used to do for years.
Oh, go ahead.
I just say I'd have to have their own machine shop to do that, and I have the same plans for my shop that I have right now is to add on to it, just to have a little machining room, with my, and I'd love to have a mill, and of course plasma table would be awesome too. I miss having access to one of them.
Yeah, I in our shop when I had my diesel shop, we had it was a monster. It was a Bridgeport that was it had to be from the 30s. It was huge. It was 443 phase, which is why we don't have it anymore, because we didn't have any way to power it. And I think we could turn it down, but I think it was always 3-phase. If I don't remember. This is 10 years ago, but we sold it when we moved because weren't going to be able to set it up here. And it was huge. It was like the table on it, I want to say, was 6 feet long and 1.5 feet thick. It was a monster. It was power feed in every direction, and it was awesome, but we had zero tooling for it. And that's where I mean, a lathe or a milling machine is not super expensive. I mean, they're expensive, but they're not really expensive until you start looking at how much tooling you need to actually use the damn thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. When we moved that lathe, Richard hauled it on, I think, the tow truck that he actually owns now. He didn't own it then, but he said it about killed that tow truck. And it's a pretty good sized tow truck. It's a rollback.
Yeah.
I didn't think about that. First Responder Garage says water jet. If
Yeah.
you're building a dream shop and you had room for it, a water jet would be nice.
Yeah. Right after I said plasma table, like, no, it'd either be a water jet or a laser table. So it'd be really precision cuts, because the plasma table, the one my shop had, the shop I worked at had, it was okay. There's better ones out there, but a plasma table you can only get so accurate with. Now, a water jet or laser, yeah, it's awesome. You don't have the cleanup of slag and all that crap.
Yeah. And then there were first Responder Garage and Richard were talking back here about he did a lift kit on a brand new 22 3500. I'm assuming that's probably a Chevy, and the frame flexed 1.5 inches when they lifted it in the middle.
Yeah.
That's scary.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I mean, but you have to have a certain amount of flex, or it will break.
They just break. Yeah.
And it's like a tree. You know, trees are designed to flex and sway with the wind. If they're too rigid, they'll just break. But it's a science, I guess, because you got to have enough flex to stay rigid enough. But yeah.
Yeah, it's above my engineering degree, which is none. 2 lathes that have 4-foot chucks. I'm trying to picture that.
Wow.
That's a huge lathe. Wow.
That's monstrous.
I was thinking that my machinist buddy here, I went to his shop the other day and he's got a lathe outside. Well, he's got a crank grinder, but then he's also got a lathe sitting next to it, and the crank grinder hasn't worked in forever. But I don't think the lathe works either. But I was thinking it'd be nice to have that lathe, but then I got to thinking about it. It's like 12 feet long. I don't know where I would put that. I mean, balancing ability to do things with the space that it's going to take up to have it is the problem when you start talking about machining stuff, because some of those machines get huge. Like your lathe is like, I think that's like the perfect size. That's what the size I need to get.
Yeah, it needs to be. I need to figure out how to extend the bed on it at least another maybe foot.
How long is the bed on yours?
Huh?
How long is the bed on yours?
I think it's a 20.
Okay.
I think it's a 9 by 20 or something like that, 9 by 19. But it's got enough swing on it. I could put a crankshaft, a big block crankshaft in it, but the bed's not long enough, so I have to kind of rig up. Put my tailstock on some blocks and vice. I mean, I've got a video where I cleaned up the crankshaft in it.
Yeah.
It's a little hokey, but it works. I mean, it doesn't have to. I'm not spinning it fast.
No.
So it doesn't have to be perfectly true. I'm not turning anything. I'm just using emery cloth, but
you're just polishing it.
Yeah, just polishing it. So it serves its purpose. It's better than trying to do it on V blocks and.
Oh, so Richard also knows. In fact, lives right next to him, and he said that lathe is used to build other lathes.
Yeah.
It's huge. It's a monster. And like I said, I dreamed about it for about half a second, and then I pictured it in my garage, and I didn't have room to put a car in there anymore. So
yeah. Well, that's the thing, to my dream shop, it would be, it has to be huge to fit everything in there. So I'm looking. I've got enough space out behind my shop and around my shop to make all that happen as far as land. I've already got that. So maybe one of these days.
My shop, when I had the diesel shop that I rented, it was 60 wide by almost 60 long, and then had a 50, I think 50, no, 40 by 24 or 30 shop on the side of it, which is our race car shop. And I
Yeah.
don't think that would be big enough for what I'm picturing when I think
No.
of my dream shop. Like that's
No.
Richard says huge warehouse sounds good to him.
Yeah. Yeah. A huge warehouse would have to be.
I
Yeah.
mean, because
You'd have to have 3-phase.
oh
And
yeah,
yeah, I mean that's been my dream forever, to have a huge shop to build everything. I guess I'm sure I'm not the only one, but I would love to do that and have enough going to where I could employ my boys and grandkids when they get old enough, just have something to hash down that we all enjoy. But then
okay,
again, I don't like building stuff for other people.
yeah. So First Responder Garage says try to use a Kevlar drive belt from a torque converter for a gator or something to polish the crank. V belts work also. Use the backside. I think he's. Are you talking about to drive the crank when you're polishing it? While we're waiting for, I think that's what he's talking about. That's a good idea to turn the crank while you're. Richard
Yeah,
said, "Imagine storing all your projects inside, not having to shuffle them in and out. That would be
yeah,
amazing."
yeah,
I don't think it matters how much space you have. You're still going to have to move them in and out. You're still going to have. You grow to what you have. You had a shop that
yep,
big, you'd have more stuff than you could fit inside of it.
yep. Oh yeah,
Especially if you get it naturally and you don't just win the lottery on a single project and somebody builds it for you. That'd be my problem right now. Is I'd have all this equipment and I couldn't afford to run it or work on anything in there.
yeah. I got all this cool stuff. I can't use it.
Okay, so he said to polish the journals. So he's talking about you're talking about actually using the belt as like the abrasive to polish it. I've never heard of that
Huh.
before. I might have to try that sometime. So we're running out of time here, but
Yeah.
I was telling you about my 377 I was going to build. Turns out I used that crank at some point in the past and something else. All I could find is 383 cranks.
Oh,
So I don't
that
have a
works.
crank for my 377. Well, except it doesn't work
Oh
with.
yeah, it'd be a 400.
Yeah, I need a 350 stroke with for that one I need a 350 crank, and all the ones I had are 350 mains, but they're 400 stroke, so it won't work.
Yeah.
So that project kind of maybe turned into something cooler. I don't know if I'm going to put it in, but we have a really nice set of SRP pistons that I think will go in that block, and they're dish pistons for 49cc heads. Makes like a 10-to-1 dish motor with 49cc heads, and we have a set of 49cc darts out there. So someday I gotta, but they need a 3 9/16 stroke crank, so I just gotta find one of those. Like I said, I was just bored and I saw the engine, it was kind of in my way, so I thought, well, I'll put this together and get it out of the way, and turns out I don't have all the parts to put it together. I did find, if I could have found a crank, I found main bearings, rod bearings, pistons, rods, an oil pan. The only thing I couldn't find is a timing set. Busterio Garage, how's it going? I'm drawing Chris. Quality control. I'm pretty sure that's the link for the after hour show that starts in about 6 minutes. First Responder Garage says, yeah, there's never enough space.
No,
There
never.
It doesn't matter what you have. You'll always grow out of it almost immediately. Richard's got me covered on the timing set. I don't know. I don't know. I don't really have a project to put that in. If I put a motor together, I'd have to find something to put it in.
Yeah.
But
there's always something out there that needs an engine.
Oh yeah, I mean,
you got a little Fox body Mustang sitting out there.
I knew you were going to say that. Well, I already have. If I end up putting a motor swap in that one, and I don't do a Ford, I already have an insane motor for that. That's probably going to be worthless, but I'm going to do it because I have it. I'll put that 406 that I've got in there. Or Richard's got another motor down there that he's going to put together pretty soon. That it has it's a 383 with dome Ross forged pistons and another one of those lightweight fancy steel cranks. I don't remember what heads are on that one though, but that one would be that one might be a better one for the Fox body. Be a little more tame than that 406. Oh, I guess that 383 does not have heads yet.
Oh, okay.
There's a set of Brodex heads out there in the barn that need to be welded, Richard. They're his.
Yeah.
We've been working on kind of cleaning up some of the stuff around here, trying to get all the parts into a somewhat usable fashion. And like last summer, we sold pallets of parts that I'm actually regretting selling because a lot of it was stuff that I wish I had now.
Yeah.
But it was stuff I was never going to use and now I would use, but you know how that goes. But
oh yeah.
There's we've got one of those racks like you have pallet storage for like Lowe's.
Yeah.
And I was out there looking. We've got my dad, when we were racing, he was very eBay addicted. We've got a Bryant SB2 steel crank with a big block snout, Honda rod journals. I think it's like regular 350 main size. And I don't know what the stroke on it is, but it needs to be fixed. And then we've got a Callie's crank, but it needs to be fixed. We've got a Summit crank, but it's got so much Mallory in it, it weighs 10,000 pounds. There's and both of those are 383 cranks. No, the Callie's is 350 crank. There's 327 large journal steel crank out there. Busted are you? I don't need any parts. They're Busted Radial. I sold a lot, and I kind of wish I hadn't sold them now, but most of them were Mopar parts, a lot of small block stuff, and a little bit of big block stuff. Actually, the biggest thing that I regret selling is I had a set of 6-pack rods that I sold, and I wish I had them back now because I would use them, but I'll just have to do something different. No, I don't need anything. I sold it because I was trying to clear out some space, and now I regret selling it. Richard says never sell it, hoard all of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm learning that too. There's a lot of stuff I've sold. I mean, I wish I would have never sold any of this stuff. And nothing to watch like you guys have sold, but it's still yet.
5 years ago, I'm going to make all the Mopar guys so sad. I sold a 71 Duster, a 72 Demon, a 71 Duster, a 73 Duster, a 73 or 72 Swinger Dart, and a 75 four-door Dart. We let them all go super cheap about 5 years ago because I was like, I'm never going to work on these cars. I'm not going to be that guy. And now I wish I hadn't done that because I am that guy and I want them all back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Richard's a buyer, not a seller. I go through phases. I go through a buy everything phase, and then I sell it all, and then I buy it all. But I usually do pretty good. I usually don't sell it for less than I bought it, or I don't sell it for less than I bought it for. I try not to anyway.
Yeah. Well, we're at a 1 hour mark, so
there we go. We're going to end this one, and we're going to head over to the after hour show. The link is right up here. Quality control, put it in there. Real quick, busted or first responder garage is looking for a 318 Magnum. I don't have anything to help you out there. So we're gonna head over to the after hour show. We'll see you guys all over there.
Yep. See ya.
Bye.